Good evening, City Council. Mayor Burcroft, Attorney Hitchcock, Madam Treasurer Stacy Page, our Deputy Clerk, and audience. This is the City of Romulus City Council regular meeting, and today's date is Monday, April the 8th. Mr. Chair, we had roll call during our special meeting, and we do have a quorum for our regular meeting this evening.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Regular meeting agenda is as follows. Number 1, agenda. Number 2, minutes. Number 3, petitioner. Number 4, chairperson's report. 5, mayor's report. 6A, clerk's report. 6B, treasurer's report. 7, public comment. 8, unfinished business. 9, new business. 10, communication. Number 11 for approval is warrant 1907, and number 12 is adjournment. And a motion would be in order to accept the regular council meeting agenda as presented.
So moved to accept the regular meeting city council agenda as submitted.
Support.
It's been motioned by Ms. Talley, supported by Ms. Roscoe, for approval of agenda as presented. Ms. Talley?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth? Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Motion approved.
Number 2A for approval are the minutes from the regular council meeting held on Monday, April the 1st, 2019.
So move for April the 1st, 2019.
Support.
It's been motioned by Mr. Wadsworth, supported by Ms. Roscoe, for approval of the minutes from our regular council meeting, which was held Monday, April 1st, 2019. Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Talley?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Motion approved.
There were no special meetings held on April 1st. We do not have any petitioners on the agenda, and takes us to number 4, the chairperson's report.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We had a meeting, open study session at 6 p.m. today to discuss our 2019-2020 budget. At this time, I'm going to recognize Councilwoman Williams.
Yes, I would like to make a memorial resolution for Billy Charles. It's Marie Charles' husband. He passed away.
Support.
It's been motioned by Ms. Williams, supported by Ms. Roscoe for memorial resolution. I'd like to say something on behalf of Billy. I know most of you know Marie Charles. Marie Charles used to go on our trips with us, family trips with us, all over the state of Michigan and out of state. And I always used to go up to Billy and say, "Boy, you letting your wife go again with us?" He said, "Yeah, take her." So, but he was really a nice person. Billy would talk with everyone. He was just a nice person to get along with and very quiet. And I just have condolences for Marie. She's such a nice lady, and she's always laughing and stuff. So, you know, keep her in your prayers. Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Talley?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. That motion is approved. Next, the chair is going to recognize Councilman Wadsworth.
Thank you, Mr. Barton. I just want to remind the public that May the 10th is going to be the 16th annual Romulus Animal Shelter Bowl-a-thon. It's been one of our biggest fundraisers, and I'm looking for people that want to bowl. If you're interested, go over to the bowling alley. There's a sign-up sheet there, and I'm also looking for my friends from the past that have been very kind to this event with donating their gifts, and everything that we raise that night goes directly into the shelter fund. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wadsworth. Next, the chair is going to recognize Reverend Willis.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Councilman Barton. We certainly thank you for allowing me to come here to our mayor. God bless you. Thank you so much to our clerk and to our treasurer and to all of my fellow councilmen and women. It's great that you would give me this time to come before you, and thank you, Chair, for allowing me to take some of your time. I'm coming to you this time for a great event. One of the biggest events in the Christianity, Christian life, is Good Friday. And Good Friday is coming up very soon, and I come before you each year asking you for non-fee permit to allow us to be able to gather together at the historical park, and we walk from there to Goddard, carrying the cross down Goddard to 5 Point Church where we have our service. This year again, we looking to have a great time. We hope God will bless us with the right weather for this event, and it's going to be Friday the 19th. That's what I'm asking for that date. We have this year we have a special treat because along the route there will be animated characters, but there'll be human characters. We have Mary Magdalene going to be along the route. We have Mother Mary going to be along the route. We have someone going to go on the cross. It's not me. Everybody want to get me on the cross. I don't know why they want to crucify me, but I get crucified enough without getting on the cross. So I'm not getting up there. But we do have a young man, Pastor Cole from the Union Grove. He's decided that he's going to get on the cross, and we're going to put him on the cross this year. Mayor, you've carried the cross before going down the street. And if you never carried the cross, you're talking about a humbling feeling. I suggest you come out and be with us and just carry that cross just for a little. It does something to you on the inside. I know it's just a piece of wood, but man, it really does something to you. So that's what we ask, and you allow us to have that no-fee permit that we may have, celebrate Good Friday, and we believe that that's what heaven's going to look like. Councilman Wise, what heaven's going to look like, what we see on Good Friday. There's going to be folks that thought they was going to make it, didn't, and folks you thought sure we're going to be there, ain't going to be there. But it's not, it's all denominations together. There's going to be some of everything in heaven. There's going to be some of all types of people, little people, heavy people, black folks, white folks, green folks, Mexican folks, Chinamen. It's going to be everybody there, and you're going to be surprised that you made it. So we're asking for that. Thank you so much.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move, but I just wonder why you picked me out of 7 people that may or may not get to heaven, but that's okay.
I think you got connection.
I'll move that we give a no-fee permit for the Good Friday March.
I support that.
Okay, it's been motioned by Mr. Wadsworth, supported by Ms. Webb for no fee permit. Ms. Talley.
Yes, and I just need to piggyback off Reverend Willis. He's my fearless leader in the Ministerial Alliance, and as he stated, we had biblical carers on the walk last year, and we had our city treasurer was Mother Mary. We had Judge Oakley from the 34th District. He was Pontius Pilate. Reverend Willis was Judas.
I did it well too.
We had some residents that were involved. Gail Mispa from the school district. Yours truly, I was the woman with the alabaster box. And we had a couple other residents, and we had people from Reverend Willis Church. But we do need people who want to be along the route, who want to dress up and just have some fun representing on that special day. I mean, it's just a small sacrifice to pay for the sacrifice Jesus Christ made for us on the cross. So if you want to sign up, see Reverend Willis or see myself. We are looking for characters, biblical carers for the route. We will take people. We need you, and we look forward to having you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Talley. Mr. Wadsworth.
Yes.
Ms. Webb.
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Ms. Talley.
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, that motion is approved.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Reverend. Next, our chair is going to recognize St. John's Lodge number 44.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Councilman, citizens of Romulus. My name is Curtis Hall. I am the Worshipful Master of St. John's Lodge number 44. And with me I have one of my esteemed past masters, Brother David Jones. And we are here tonight as voices for St. John's Lodge 44 to extend an invitation to all to come to our prayer breakfast this Saturday. It's going to be held at the Wayne Tree Manor. It's going to start at 9 a.m. And we just feel that if someone wants to come out and help us uplift the Lord's name in prayer, we would certainly be glad to have you come and enjoy a wonderful breakfast with us. Past Master.
Mayor, Brother Barton, and City Council, and Senator Romulus. And this is one of our fundraisers. You know, in August we have our big school giveaway, and this is one of our fundraisers to help support that youth day. So we're asking this for as much support as we can, because, you know, this is our city, and the children that come will be our kids in the community and surrounding communities. It's open for everyone in Romulus. And yes, the Good Friday March, St. John's will be there helping with traffic control as we have done in the past. So we asking for your support. Come out and enjoy yourself. You have a nice breakfast, and you will enjoy the service. Our guest speaker this year is LaThomas Willis, Reverend Willis' son, the pastor of New Jerusalem Baptist Church in Inkster. So come out and you will definitely enjoy yourself.
Through the chair, if I may.
Yes, Ms. Webb.
David, may I ask you, you say donations, are you selling tickets this
Yes.
year? Okay.
Okay,
And the prices?
our tickets are $25 a piece.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Forgot about that. That's a very important part.
That's why we have him as the chair.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you giving us some time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You're mostly welcome. Before I start ending my report, I was talking with a few of our colleagues and people that watch these cable motions that we do in council. We're gonna start doing something a little different. I've been kind of lenient. I haven't been hitting it like I should. But it's gonna change. It's gonna change. Because I'm tired of going to the store and they say people are out of order, some of them. No more nice John Barton no more. We're gonna run this like a city. It's gonna be ran professionally. If you have, like Ms. Webb said earlier, if you have a comment with the administration or with the colleagues, go to them. You can have legit circumstances. You want to express yourself in a professional way, that's fine. But please, let's just give a respect for this city government. We don't want to shout matches. People are tired. They just want to see how the city is running. If you oppose something, do it in a professional way, no back and forth. With that, that concludes the chairperson's report.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion to accept your report.
Support.
It's been motioned by Ms. Roscoe, supported by Ms. Talley, to accept the chairperson's report. Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Talley? Ms.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Mr. Wadsworth? Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Motion approved. Thank you.
Next on the agenda, number 5 is the mayor's report.
Good evening, City Council, Treasurer, Clerk, Deputy Clerk, and audience. Tonight in my report, the quote I got ties into what I'm going to have Steve respond to, and it's half a truth is a great lie. And there's been a lot of half-truths lately. And so what I want to do, and I've had a lot of requests from council, Mr. Chairman, on information about the court and others. And so what Steve Hitchcock is going to do is just brief some highlights. You will get a full report documented. I didn't want him to read everything in the report. You will get a copy of this report, but I'd like him to go through that and summarize it, please, and then I would like to make some comments, and then we'll get on with my action items if we could. Steve?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Good.
I did, at the mayor's request, I reviewed the audits over the relevant period of time that were done by Plant Moran for the city, and I also reviewed the audits that were done by the court. The court has separate audits, so there were 2 audits done of the information that was discussed in the meeting on May 25th. In addition to that, I reviewed whatever email exchanges there were between city staff people and the court. I also reviewed the relevant agreements. There are 3 agreements that exist. The first one is 1998, and that was a funding unit agreement. I happen to have been involved in that agreement when it was negotiated with the other 5 communities that are part of this court. And the important thing of that agreement, and it's been this way since 1998, Romulus agreed to be the funding unit for the court back in 98 in that agreement, which means that Romulus solely is responsible for all of the costs of the operation of that court, all the financing, and all of the maintenance of the building. And that means that we get the good and the bad. If there's a year in which there's revenue over and above the cost of the operation of that court, it's Romulus's money, it's general fund money, it always has been general fund money. And if there's years in which the court revenue is insufficient, then that's Romulus's problem, it's not the problem of the other communities. Those other communities in the court, they get 30% of the revenue of their tickets, and they have no risk. The city has all the risk in this. And of course, as you know, a year or so ago, we sold some bonds for that court. Those bonds, if there ever were a time in which there's not adequate revenue for those bonds, those are an obligation of the city. So I reviewed that agreement. I also then reviewed 2 MOU agreements, memorandums of understanding that have been entered into with the city and the court. The first was in July of 2016. That was one that was done at a point in time when we were reviewing the possibility of rehabbing the existing court building, putting an addition onto it, and looking at the cost of that. And subsequently, in August of 17, when it was decided that it didn't make real sense to spend all that money in rehabbing and building additions onto the existing building, it was decided a brand new building would be constructed. That document with the court in August of 2017 identifies clearly in it that it was $18.7 million was going to be the cost of that court, and $17 million was going to be covered by a bond that was going to be issued by the city, and in fact, you did issue a bond. There's nothing in those audits that anyway indicates there's any money that's missing or any money that's stolen by anyone, that the city owes any money. The MOUs that were entered into with the court do describe the handling of some funding unit fees that the court was going to collect over and above the normal ticket revenue that they get for fines and costs to help fund the court. All of the money that was required by those MOUs to be put into the building fund for the court have been put into that building fund. And all the money that's from the sale of those bonds has gone into the fund. There continues to go into that fund money from these FUF fees, as you'll hear that term used. That means the funding unit fees. They're going into a debt service fund so that there's adequate money to pay those bonds. And in addition to that, by the time those bonds were sold, money had been collected in that court fund from those fees, and that's why there was a difference between 18.7 million and 17 was bonded. There was enough money to pay that difference in the construction costs out of that money that had already been put away. And in fact, that's been ongoing as the construction occurs. There has been no money that has been used that is contrary to any agreement. Some people have got up and talked about things that they don't know about and have never read any agreements. And the whole concept that there's court money that belongs to the court is contrary to the agreement that we have with the other communities that are all using this court. The city is responsible for it, and the city gets the additional revenue, and the city takes the risk. And we, in fact, have done that and are continuing to do that and plan to continue to do that. So I'm going to give you a lot of detail. Beyond that, I'm going to give you copies of those agreements also. And I think that when you're done reading it, there'll be no question that the city has totally complied with what those agreements required, and that in fact that there is money being collected for the bond, and the payments are being made on that bond. So there's no issue there. And I think that those who spoke were getting wrong information at the very least, or were intentionally trying to create problems that don't exist. And I think when you see all of the agreements, and you'll be able to understand that. And if you want, we've got copies of the audits for those period that would be 14, 15, 16, 17, and then 18 are available for some of the communities right now, that are also available if you want to review those audits. So I'd be happy after you have a chance to review the report to go over it with you in either open or closed session, whichever you would prefer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. And Mr. Chairman, that document that he'll give you will serve as all the requests that came from council. We'll answer those. If they didn't, please get back to myself and Steve. I do want to make a couple comments about, just from my perspective with the history, and you'll get all the detail from Steve, and I'll try to be as accurate and polite with this. I am going to mention names and some dates just to help paint the picture of the story that's gone on. Steve talked a lot about the agreement in 1998, which I think people don't understand. They think it was an agreement with the court. It was an agreement with 5 communities. Those 5 communities, actually, Romulus was represented by then Mayor Bill Oakley when was signed that agreement. So they came together and established Romulus as a host community with the details that you'll get that Steve will provide. There was no FUF fee mentioned ever in that agreement from 1998. There were no signees from the courts that were involved in that. This was 5 communities agreeing on the structure of where that money will go. And I think that's very important. So let's wind the clock back to a couple weeks ago. There were some things that were said, and I'll talk a little bit about how it ties in with the healthcare piece. We had a meeting here, Mr. Chairman, on March 25th, and we had Judge Green here, Judge Oakley here. There were some court employees, very frustrated. I could definitely sense that. And this healthcare is a tough issue. This is an issue that impacts all our current active employees. It's an issue all over the country. It's a passionate issue. I understand that, but it's really important to understand also what we're dealing with and what the facts are in this matter. Judge Green quoted, she liked the term crystal clear. She used that a couple times, but crystal clear that everyone understand that in 2013 we doubled fees and bench warrants, late fees, and show cause, unquote. She also quoted that in 2014 we added a FUF fee that you heard Steve mention, or this funding unit fee, unquote. The agreement, and I was here in obviously 2013 and 2014, the agreement was done between my former chief of staff, Robert Dickerson, and the chief, Judge Green. They came up with this agreement. It was a verbal agreement. They put those fees in place for this intent. The intent was to show that we had a structure of funding to move forward with either a reconstruction or a new construction of a court. Just like if an individual's buying a house or buying a car, or you want to make sure you have the payments and structure there to do that. So that is what it was put in place for. It was also put in place to help us from the bonding standpoint. And so that was done, as you heard the judge quote that, at that time. That was an agreement. My total understanding all along was that that was put in place with the knowledge that it was going in the general fund, as Steve said, unrestricted, okay, to prove that we had funding and to also make sure that we're in a strong position to bond to ultimately get the funding to do the court project, either a renovation or a new project. About approximately 2015, I had a conversation, I think a couple of them with Judge Oakley, expressed that he did not like that, he did not agree with that, and that it was going in the general fund unrestricted. As a result of those conversations that I had with him, I said, okay, let's do this, let's do another memorandum of understanding. That's the one that Steve mentioned that we brought back to City Council, and then those funds were put in that dedicated fund to make sure that every penny went towards whatever that project was going to be, reconstruction or new construction. I don't know what conversations happened between, there's 3 judges there. I can't speculate. I got the impression that maybe my opinion was that there were some judges that didn't understand the verbal agreement or had different interpretations of that verbal agreement, but I can tell you that was my understanding very clearly, and I felt that we put corrective action in place in 2016 when this body adopted that new standard, which put the money dedicated for a court project. Mr. Mr. Chairman, you know, we had some pretty wild accusations, as Steve said, a lot about these from employees at the court. And I can understand their frustration. But I think in some cases, maybe their frustration should be asking the judges where there was an agreement in place. We followed the agreement to the letter of the law to the best of our ability and what Steve has told you and will show you. So I feel like it was misdirected frustration, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. There's, I think, some misinformation about the funding unit that came in from the court and the city's responsibility and impact on that. Since July of 2016, the city has transferred into the court account from our general fund about $690,000 approximately. You'll see the exact numbers in his report. And so some people think we haven't incurred costs, that this is all money that's come through and we don't have skin in the game. We do. We have all the risk. We had OHM costs of approximately $305,000 that the city paid. Originally, OHM was the person involved with the design and planning and engineering. The court personnel were not happy with that. We paid that bill. We were responsible. That came from city costs. A very important point, Mr. Chairman, is that all the funds have been verified and audited. There is no money missing. So when I hear some of these very dangerous terms that are put out there, that's just not true, and you'll see it in Steve's detailed report. So let's get up to around 2017, and I've had two formal meetings, one in 2017 with myself, Chief Judge Green, Judge Oakley, and direct discussion about Public Act 152 and the financial situation that our city faced. I communicated my intention that it was going to be very difficult to continue to opt out of employee health care and that this would impact all employees. In 2018, in September of last year, I had again Judge Oakley and Chief Judge Green in my office. My chief of staff was there. I went through in detail the PowerPoint and financial projection of where we were. I went through the proposed millage. This was before the millage. I met him in September. I again stated my intention that irregardless of a millage, that where my position was, that we cannot afford to opt out again. After that meeting, I actually offered to the judges and to the court employees for me personally to go to the court and present that PowerPoint. Did not get a response. I didn't let that go. I followed up and also encouraged the court that if they didn't want me to go there or they didn't think that was appropriate, they were welcome to come here because we had meetings in this room with our employees that work here at DPW. And I said, bring them in. Let them hear the information. I don't know what the employees at the court got or heard because that's not my role. I worked through the chief judge and through Judge Oakley and extended that offer. So the big emotion and the sounds I heard that you didn't tell us, we didn't know, I feel bad, you know, that maybe they didn't know. But Mr. Chairman, I guarantee you, I offered to go and tell the story and tell the financial picture with those employees. And I also offered them to be here with all our employees to hear that. You know, the court employees that were attending, you know, it's frustrating to hear their stories. It's also frustrating to hear our employees who have hardships and tough times. There's nobody that wants to impose more cost on employees. There's nobody that's trying to pass on cost. Earlier we had our first budget study session, and you saw some of the charts that had we not done some of the things like Public Act 152, if we had not passed a millage, the tougher situation it would be in. Also the fact that we did not spend what we were budgeted for and allowed to by law by this city council. I said in many of the town halls that it's good government to underspend the budget. Just because it's budgeted doesn't mean you spend it all. Our directors and our employees have worked very hard to sacrifice, so we came in under budget, and that's going to have to be a trend of the future. Mr. Chairman, in 2017, we finally had a plan that we brought back to City Council. As Steve mentioned, another memorandum of understanding. It was presented and approved by City Council for $17 million in bonds. The project cost was identified at 18.7. You know, some people don't understand 8th grade math, and they think that there's two different numbers, and that's confusing. We're not trying to confuse anybody. We had money in that dedicated fund. We knew all along that we only wanted to bond 17 million. That's why we brought that to you, because we had monies available that had gone dedicated into that fund. Our goal is to still stay under budget. Another quote from that March 25th meeting. Judge Green said, and exactly what I took from the transcripts, quote, "We sustain our own," unquote. Also, she was quoted as saying, "We do all of that," unquote. Given the impression, and this hurts me because, you know, they're part of our community. They're part of all 5 of our communities. They don't stand alone. We don't stand alone. We're working with our neighborhood partners. We're working with our community partners. You know, when I hear those comments, you know, how do I tell a resident that, you know, honestly, City of Romulus, full faith and credit, is on the hook for $17 million. So standalone comments, they're hurtful. They don't build community. They tear down community. You know, we need the court. We want to be the host community for that court. We love being the host community. We're proud of that. We're proud of this building going up. But to say that they sustain their own, Mr. Chairman, how would I tell a DPW worker that I've told, or Mr. McCrate has told, it's a priority? Plow there before you plow here. Cut their grass before you cut here. Make sure they're open and operable. We're bending over backwards day in, day out, we feel, to give good customer service to a priority service of our community that's a shining star. And to hear a comment like, "We sustain our own, we don't need you," very, very hurtful, Mr. Chairman. So, going through the process of trying to come up with solutions, I was told from the court, they're one of the busiest courts. I understand that. They've added a magistrate. Their volume is very high. I don't have the data, they do, but that's what I hear from them. And so all along we looked at, do we expand the current building or do we go to a new building? The math didn't work cost too much to rehab. So we started the process of looking at building a new building. A couple points through the process, I felt very much like I was being threatened that if we didn't build a court, they were going to go elsewhere, Mr. Chairman, flat out. There were 2 different communities that told me that they were reached out to by a court administrator, Al Hinman, that interested in taking the court elsewhere. And all along, I'm trying to work in good faith to find a solve that works for them, that works for us, that works on this campus, which has some challenges. And I feel we've worked hard to get to that end, and it doesn't build a lot of trust when you hear that from other community partners. On March 25th, I recommended that we not opt out of Public Act 152. You're well aware of that. That was on the agenda prior to that meeting. City Council knows when they get the agenda. The clerk obviously puts that out as soon as possible. Do you know I didn't get one call from a judge, one call from a court manager, employee, when that was on the agenda? Not one. So I was very transparent about it. It was on the agenda. You know, I thought maybe I would get another chance to have some dialogue with them. 2 days, Mr. Chairman, 2 days after that Monday night meeting. So March 27th, it's a Wednesday. In fact, what bothers me with this is that I get, and twice that day, I'm with Judge Oakley at a 7 a.m. meeting. He's here at a 2 o'clock swearing in. Didn't hear anything from Judge Oakley. I thought maybe if there was something hot going on with the court, he's always been great about passing on, saying, hey, heads up, there's something going on you need to be aware of. This issue all of a sudden comes up 2 days after we don't opt out of the Public Act, and later that Wednesday, I get an email from the 3 judges and Mr. Hinman, and the email, I'll quote for you, it says, as a courtesy, an email, not dear Mayor, not dear Leroy, as a courtesy, you know, I'm being sent this attachment that is a letter to the surrounding 4 community partners stating that we owe them money based on their discussion, 2 days after Public Act. So I didn't get a call in 2014, 2015, 2016. I didn't get a nasty email after any of those. Here it's 2019, 2 days after we don't opt out. Now all of a sudden I'm getting this email. I got no call, a courtesy. There was no courtesy given. This letter went out before I had a chance to talk to anybody. I had Steve Hitchcock call the chief judge, say, this didn't go out, did it? What did she say? It's gone, it went out. So what courtesy was I given? I wasn't given a heads up. So I had to take it upon myself to reach out to the surrounding communities and explain what I thought had gone on. The amount in the letter was wrong. They stated that they had talked to the auditor and referenced that in the letter, and I'll send you all this. And I'm going, well, okay, I talked to our auditor, and when I talked to our auditor, they said this to me. They said that all monies have been audited and accounted for. They said, Mayor Burcroft, you got the highest rating of audit available. You were given in June of 2018 an unqualified audit, which is the highest rating. There is nothing wrong. There is no money missing. There isn't a penny missing. So they reference that in that. And again, probably the biggest thing that hurt is that I've been working hard with this relationship to maintain it and to have a successful new court. I got no courtesy. I got no phone calls. The Thursday after, Judge Oakley, I called you, didn't answer the phone. Just as a last attempt to try to reach out and say, what in the world is going on? So that's in the past. The letter that you'll get a copy of and basically it's inviting us to a meeting to meet with these other communities that they want to host to discuss some kind of reimbursement. Well, I'm a nice guy, but you know what? There's no reimbursement. I called those other community leaders and told them, if they're thinking I'm going to show up at a meeting to talk about reimbursement, they need to go back and look at that act that was passed in 1998, signed by then Mayor Bill Oakley, and there is no money due back. We followed everything in the letter of that agreement, and I stand by that. You know, Mr. Chairman, you see, this is really about health care. It's about the court retaliating on the city over health care, and it's not good. It's not healthy, and I don't believe it's right. Since this time, and I told you I've reached out to the other communities, Mr. Chairman, I found out some other disturbing information that I was told that Al Hinman had contacted Van Buren. Yeah, called Van Buren, asking them, and had before the Public Act, and was trying to negotiate taking court employees and put on the Van Buren plan.
Wow. Ooh.
And I hear this from another supervisor. So here I'm trying to work with them and have a spirit of cooperation. And what's kind of confusing is if you look at that Public Act the agreement that we put together for funding in '98, Section 10 defines the district funding unit. And in my opinion, and Steve's the attorney and he'll give you his, it very clearly states that the host community is responsible for those. salaries, fringes, it goes on to list all these other things. So I don't know if they've even looked at this or understand it, but I don't like it. That was dirty, that was wrong, and I don't appreciate it. You know, we had a study session earlier. You were here, council was here, finance presented, the chief judge was here, we heard from her. I asked a couple questions, the attorney asked, Steve Hitchcock asked a couple questions. They presented a preliminary budget, it's just preliminary, a budget that in my opinion is a similar type format that I had when I spent 16 years on council. And I'm not trying to be hurtful, but I think it's a pencil whip budget. It has flat revenue and expenditure costs on the employee side at some pretty significant increases, in my opinion. I have people, since I can speak in this mayor's office since 2013, that haven't had any increases. And when I hear some of those, and they're presenting that to you, I have a problem with that. I don't think the budget was prepared, the preliminary budget was prepared very professional. It wasn't signed by the judge. There were columns that were wrong, that had the wrong projected years on them. We asked some pretty, I think, just fair general questions, and I asked Steve tonight to follow up with the judge and give, in all fairness, to let them answer those. But you're the decision maker on the budget. I would ask you to please look at that closely. And if you're not happy with that budget, you have the option to reject that and ask them to come back with some revised numbers. Here's what I'm thinking of. I've got a lot of good people that work in the city that haven't gotten increases. Now, how do I look at them and say, you know, you've worked really hard. You've been hanging in there for the last several years. Or I told them no in their department budget meeting. And now they hear that someone else just slid something in the budget. I have a problem with that. That's your call. I'm not going to overstep my bounds, but that's my opinion. So here, April 4th, I was off last week. It was great, Mr. Barden. I had a nice vacation with my wife. I come back to the Belleville Independent publishing an article by Rosemary Otzman, and I'll quote her leading headline, "City of Romulus accused of stealing court money to cover payroll," unquote.
Wow.
You believe that? Stealing. Wow. Chief Judge Green is quoted in that article. There's some court employees that were quoted in that article. Mr. Chairman, stealing court money. So the Belleville Independent, I don't know this paper. I really don't. I'm learning about them real quick. You know, independent, first thing I'm thinking of, maybe they shouldn't be so independent. Maybe they should get the facts on both sides of the story. They jumped to putting this on the front page. Romulus's name. That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing. We take pride in our community. They're making a wild accusation and a lie. I take that personal. Our employees take that personal. They show up every day, working hard to put on a good customer service for the employees of other departments, good customer service for the residents, and to do it with integrity. Mr. Chairman, you think I got a call or anybody in my staff from the Belleville Independent? Nope. Didn't call, didn't ask for facts, didn't say, gosh, did we get it right before they put this on the press? Didn't say, is there another side? Would you like to comment, Mr. Mayor?
So no one comment from the city?
No one. Didn't contact, to my knowledge, anyone at the city of Romulus. Is that good reporting? I'm grateful we don't have that kind of reporting in Romulus. You know, and Belleville puts up with that. I don't know. I don't know this paper. That's not right. The city of Romulus retains Plant Moran, as you know, to conduct the annual audit of the finances that they also report to the state. I stand by the comments that Steve made and I made that there's no money missing, there's no money stolen. It's insulting that they put that in the paper. Mr. Chairman, it's a shame that the relationship with the court is at this level. And I feel horrible about it. I lose sleep over it. It bothers me. I feel I've done my best to keep harmony with 34th District Court for quite a while. And a lot of this stuff I don't air out to people. I changed our project manager and put the burden of this new project on top of his normal job to Bob McCrate over the court project because they couldn't get along with the prior project manager. As I said earlier, we replaced replaced OHM for the design and engineering costs, and we bared the cost of that project, that $305,000 that the city paid for, because they didn't like the direction it was going with that firm. You know, I believe that my whole team has worked hard and bent over backwards to try to make sure that the project is moving forward. I believe that our community and our employees have been damaged by these false allegations because they put them out there and they don't hear a rebuttal. They don't hear the other side of it. A lot of damage has been done. I've made several requests through myself and other people on our team to get more data on the health of the court financially and the projections as they move forward, because when we brought that bond to you, we take that serious. As I said, we have all the risk here. We want to continue to be a good host community for 34th District Court. We didn't steal a dime from anybody. As you heard, it was reported in the Belleville Independent. Think about what you read, people, council, residents, before you draw conclusions. Very hurtful. We work hard to continue to be transparent with our council, with our residents, with our community partners. We're going to continue to work hard with our community partners. I've reached out to some of them already. I'm continuing to reach out to try to repair a damage and perception that's out there. I hope and pray that we're going to have better cooperation, Mr. Chairman, on this matter, because it's going the wrong direction. It's bringing our community down, and it's evil. My last request is that Mr. Hitchcock please investigate all possible legal action against Belleville Independent newspaper on behalf of this body, on behalf of our employees, and on behalf of our residents. I don't appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Mr. Byrne.
Mr. Wadsworth.
It's quick and right to the point, Mayor. I totally agree with everything that you said. I did not realize that we had such a bad relationship with the 34th Court until the night we had the meeting here. I mean, as a councilman, I remember all the way back to '98 with the original agreement with Bill Oakley, and it amazes me that we gave them everything they wanted. They got every damn thing they wanted, and it's wrong. It's wrong, and I believe that we do have to respond to the Belleville Independent, at least with a letter to the editor to start.
We will.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wadsworth.
I do have, you know, on a lighter note, we have a short video. I don't want to overstep that, so if you could play that, please, and just some updating events, and then I'll get into my action items here real quick. I'm sorry I took more time than normal.
Hi everyone, I'm Jasmine Dancy. Here's what's going on around Romulus. This Friday, the Romulus APA is inviting the community out for an old-time social. Come to the Coleman Center from 7 to 11 p.m. to celebrate the music of the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. Admission is $5. St. John's Lodge is holding their prayer breakfast this Saturday morning at 9 a.m. at Wayne Tree Manor. Tickets are $25 per person. Some last-minute tickets are still available for our Brunch with the Bunny this Saturday at 10:30 a.m., but you must purchase in the next couple of days. At noon this Saturday is our community Easter egg hunt in the field behind the Romulus Senior Center. Ages 11 and under are welcome out at this free event, but make sure to bring your own basket and get there early. The hunt begins promptly at noon and is over in just a couple of minutes. Photos with the Easter Bunny will be available following the hunt. For a more relaxed environment this Saturday, come enjoy the inspirational sounds of the Romulus Community Choir at their concert, open to the public at 6 p.m. Donations will be accepted to benefit the Romulus Public Safety Foundation. The Romulus Garden Club meets on Monday, April 15th at 6:30 p.m. at the Romulus Library. Senior Book Club at the Senior Center will be Tuesday, April 16th at 10:30 a.m. And while city offices will be closed, the Ministerial Alliance is holding their annual Good Friday Walk on Friday, April 19th. Meet at 5 Points Church at 10 a.m. for refreshments, then take a shuttle to the downtown pavilion. There will be a worship service back at the church following the walk through downtown. Finally, on Saturday, April 20th, come out to support the Romulus Southeast Fire Youth Wrestling Club at their first annual Rudy Williams Classic Tournament at 8 a.m. at Romulus High School. Rudy Williams passed away recently, but he was a longtime Romulus resident and a 5-time Greco-Roman wrestling national champion. Please help support this club with students in grades K through 12. Next up, we have Jessica Wilhoit with the events coming up from the Romulus Public Library.
The Friends of the Library will be holding their quarterly book sale on April 11th, 12th, and 13th during the regular library hours. And we will be closed on April 19th and 20th for Good Friday and Easter weekend.
Now for our good news of the week. The city has officially rolled out a new application and process for recruiting members on our boards and commissions. Just visit our website, romulusgov.com, hover over the Government tab, and click on Boards and Commissions. There you will find a new application and description for all the boards and commissions. Hard copies are also available in the clerk's office. Even if there aren't any current openings, we encourage all interested residents to fill out an application that will be kept on file for 2 years for their preferred groups. Thanks everyone. Remember to like and share us on Facebook and YouTube or visit our website for more info. Have a great night, everybody.
Thank you. Now on to my action items. First action item up is item A. We have a recommendation from Tanya Cofield, our recreation coordinator, and this is to concur the administration and authorize a no-fee permit for the use of Elmer Johnson Softball Field B and St. John's Lodge Field by Summit Academy for their team's practice and home field during their season beginning the week of April 9th of this year through May of this year in exchange for donations of payment for repairs and updates to the field. This is a repeat request.
Chair, I'll make that motion for the request to waive fees and acceptance of donations for field repairs for Summit Academy baseball and softball teams.
Support.
It's been motioned by Ms. Roscoe, supported by Ms. Talley, for request to waive fees and acceptance of donations for field repairs, Summit Academy baseball and softball. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Talley?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Webb?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you, council. The next item is also a request from Tanya Cofield, our Recreation Department Coordinator, and it's a request to concur with the administration, authorize a no-fee permit for the Horseshoe Club for the use of the Elmer Johnson Park and Horseshoe Pits every Wednesday evening, May 1st of this year through September 30th of this year.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Ms. Talley.
I'd like to make the motion to concur with administration and authorize a no-fee permit to the Horseshoe Club for the use of Elmer Johnson's Parks, Horseshoe Pits every Wednesday evening from May 1st, 2019 to September 30th, 2019.
Support.
Been motioned by Ms. Talley, supported by Ms. Roscoe, for request to waive permit fees, Romulus Horseshoe Club, Elmer Johnson Park. Any discussion? Ms. Talley?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you, council. The last action item is a recommendation from Berto Scapitici, our DPW director, and this is to concur with the administration and approve a change order number 1 to bid award ITB 18/19-19 under the previous resolution of 19-035. This is for all work outlined in the change order 1 for California and Brant Streets. The amount is $267,567.50 to Goritsky Construction. These funds have been verified, budgeted, and come out of the local street fund for routine maintenance expense account.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move for ITB 18/19-19 for the 2019 concrete paving program with change order number 1.
Support.
It's been motioned by Mr. Wadsworth, supported by Ms. Webb, for ITB 18/19-19, 2019 concrete paving program, change order number 1. Discussion?
Mr. Barton, if I can, two Bertle,
Sure.
Mayor.
Roberto, can you come up, please?
Are the folks that live there, have they been notified of what's gonna happen, or will they be notified?
They will be, not the folks on Brant in California yet until this change order is approved, but tomorrow we'll start the notification process with the additional residents. But with the original contract on Drew, Taft, and Oak Brook, those residents were notified twice, once with a letter through our office and once through the inspection department at OHM.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Roberto.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Tally?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you, City Council. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Thank you.
Today is the clerk's report. Mr. Chair, we do have a request
Okay.
to speak before I begin my action items under the clerk's report. I'd like to call Mr. William Mays.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, council members, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Hitchcock. I've been practicing law now for about 21, 22 years. I first opened up my practice, I believe, with Brian Oakley, renting from him back in 1999. Recently, I started to receive notices from the clerk's office that I'm not registered to do business here. And then, just 3 weeks ago, I received a letter from Mr. Hitchcock indicating that he intends to criminally prosecute me. I've researched this ordinance 30-21 that's up for a revision this evening to add services to it. I read the original language, actually, and it's interesting. It was originally passed to monitor hazmat materials in the city of Romulus, so that if there was a chemical explosion of some sort, or some sort of chemical leak, that they would have address and contact information. Slowly, it was evolved over time to include just goods, the sale of goods within the city, and now, tonight before you, they want to add services. Like in 2010, when then Governor Granholm wanted to pass a sales tax on services. It failed back in 2010. Mr. Hitchcock, I believe, given the timing of this, that he's researched this issue. He's found that for 22 years I've been legally practicing law here in the city of Romulus, and that, in fact, the statute doesn't apply to services. It doesn't apply, for example, to Uber drivers or Lyft drivers, or the kid that mows your grass, or the guy that plows your driveway, which is what the intent of this is. I've also done further research to suggest that this is just a tax. And I've got a slew of cases here, but Marketplace versus Ann Arbor, a case from back in the 1980s, attempted to exercise this excise tax against a local business that was selling goods, and it was stricken by the courts. And it looked back to the Fourth Class Cities Act, which no longer applies. It's kind of an ancient sort of thing, but updated through the Home Rule Act. But this is a tax. This is an annual tax, $150 per year, and then $75 thereafter against every local business that provides services. And I looked at this other case, Foreman versus Oakland County Treasurer, that says that there has to be a reasonable relationship between what's being assessed or what's being charged to the local business owner and what's being supplied. And nothing is being supplied by this business registration thing that is going to be voted on tonight to expand it into services. Nothing is being provided in exchange for this. It bears no reasonable relationship between the fee and the expense of the service provided. There is no service being provided to local business owners. This is simply a tax. And under Article 9, Section 31, if the intent here is to institute a new tax, I read the Michigan Constitution. It says, political subdivision of the state possess only the powers that our Constitution, our statutes delegate to them. In accordance with this principle, units of local government are hereby prohibited from levying any tax not authorized by law or charter when this section is ratified, which it was ratified back in 1978, or from increasing the rate of an existing tax above the rate authorized by law or charter when this section is ratified without the approval of a majority of the qualified electors of that local government voting. So I'm going to ask that you turn this thing down. I don't think that it's constitutional. It's going to invite litigation. Frankly, I'll bring a lawsuit if necessary. But the timing of Mr. Hitchcock's letter from March 13th, threatening me with criminal sanctions in the 34th District Court over not being registered for the last 22 years, and then amending or asking you all to amend the statute so that in fact it would apply to me, I guess, after the second or third reading. I'm asking that you vote no on it. Thank you.
Is there any other comments under the clerk's report? We'll respond afterwards, after we finish the report on this matter to Mr. Mays' comments. 6A1 for second reading and final adoption is Budget Amendment 1819-23, Property and Liability Claims Expense. This was introduced at the council meeting of April 1st, 2019.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion for second reading, final adoption of Budget Amendment 18/19-23 for the property and liability claims expense.
Support.
It's been motioned by Ms. Roscoe, supported by Ms. Webb, for second reading, final adoption of Budget Amendment 18/19-23, property and liability claims expense. Any discussion? Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Talley?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
6A2, this is for introduction and first reading of an ordinance to amend Chapter 30, Licensing, Article 2, General Business Registration, Section 30-21. This is to include services and replace the isolated sale of services. It says to include services and isolated sale, but it should say to include services in place of isolated sale of services.
A motion?
Through the chair,
Yes, Ms. Webb.
I'd like to make that motion to introduce first reading with discussion.
I'll support that.
Okay.
Thank you. Through the chair, if I may,
Sure, Ms. Webb.
if the gentleman who came before us just now, I have no idea. What I have before me, I just don't understand what you're saying. This is in regards to licensing in our business, establishments and other kinds of activities and matters, also for the isolated sale of personal items. The only thing that was eliminated was and sale of services. So I'm not understanding what you were saying, because what I have before me as I don't understand what you were saying, because this right here is not letting me know that this is talking rental. So through the chair, if the attorney could help me out, I have no idea of what's going on.
First of all, it's a registration for businesses. It's not a license. We don't give them permission to do anything by this. The purpose of the registration is to be able to identify who's the owner and responsible person if we have any events that occur, so the police and fire have got information on who to contact. Anything from the place is on fire, the alarms are going off, there's water running out the front door because obviously there's a broken pipe inside. Whatever the event may be, the purpose of that is to be able to establish a list of contact information that's been provided by the person when they register in order to be able to facilitate events that may occur on their property, particularly after hours when nobody's present. And as to the clerk's intent with this, and I think the reading has been of this, that it did include sales as well as goods, but there was a person who raised a question about how the words played out in the sentence. So we're attempting to further clarify that by this amendment. As to the fee, he mentioned the fee, he thinks is inappropriate too. That you can collect a fee if that fee is rationally based on the cost of handling the registration process.
But, and through the chair,
Yes.
having worked the clerk's office for all those years and having to amend ordinances and a general business registration, that was just a normal thing for businesses in our community, just like you stated. We need to have the business owner's name and address, phone number on record in the event of an emergency. So I'm not understanding the problem with what the gentleman stated, because it's not in this business registration. But like I said, I made the motion and my colleague did support it.
Ms. Braggs, did you have something?
Sure, if council doesn't have any more
Any
comments.
more
I didn't know if council, I'll wait till after council.
John?
Yes, Mr. Wood.
I'm kind of like Mrs. Webb feels. Could the attorney, before the second reading, come back on black and white, kind of clarify it
Happy to
for
do
us?
that.
Okay, thank you. Good, I'm done.
Go ahead.
Just want to add is that we amended this section of the ordinance about a couple of years ago, and I know it's transformed. We were trying to make it easier for our businesses, and again, years ago it was licensing, and we replaced it with licensing as just a registration. With licensing requires so many layers of approvals here, this department, and we found a lot of businesses, they were applying and then it would take them forever to receive their registration or their license at that time because of having to go through all of the inspections. So we simplified this ordinance so that it's just clearly a registration. We even lowered the fees so that, and we looked at, again, it has to be cost recovery of what does it cost for a staff member to process the paperwork, the supplies, just to produce and provide business business registrations to our businesses here. Our business clerk, registration clerk, she works very closely with our assessor's office so that the businesses that are filed with our assessor, that these are the businesses that have registered. That information is contained in our BSNA. It was mentioned about our BSNA system. So again, as it was mentioned by the attorney, if there is an emergency, if there is something that happens, that information is available to our first responders. So we've simplified this, the process, to be considerate to our businesses here in the city of Romulus. We lowered it to just an annual registration fee of $75. And again, that we went through to make sure, calculated that amount, that it was just, it's cost recovery, not a tax, it's not a revenue, it's just cost recovery to process the business registration. And I hope that clarified. And again, as we find things, as things come up, we refer to our city attorney to say, hey, there's a discrepancy here in the ordinance, is something probably missed, as we continually update our ordinance, and then this was brought to our attention, and our city attorney, and just so that it was clearly defined. And as you look, this is just clarifying, it's a definition to make sure everybody understands when reading the ordinance, the definition that's described in the ordinance itself. I hope that clarified or added some light to this.
Ms. Williams.
As the business owner stated that he's been a business owner for over 20 years, is he registered with the city of Romulus?
I have to look at his business, I'm not sure, I have to look at the list. What we found, Councilwoman Williams, is that over the years, and there were businesses that were missed, And so what we wanted to do was be more efficient in the clerk's office and kind of really go through, by simplifying the process, then working with the assessor to make sure that all of our businesses are registered within the city of Romulus. So I can't say because I have to see the list. As far as for Mr. Mays' business, I don't know. I'd have to check.
Well, he
And I
stated
can let you know.
He stated he received a letter from the city attorney, so I expected the city attorney to notify you that whether he was.
Okay, I'm sorry, Councilwoman, that what happened, we have notices that go out. Before, they used to go out once a year, the end of the year, and it'd be just mass mailing out to all of the businesses. And some businesses, they're great about complying. We found that there were some businesses that had slipped through the cracks that just we didn't know. And so by going through, and most of the businesses have complied and have responded, but then you have some businesses that just did not comply at all. So we had to, refer to our city attorney. What do we do? We have an ordinance. If those businesses do not reply or comply with the ordinance, what do we do? How do we enforce it? So with that, we have to refer to the attorney, and that's why the letters went out to those businesses saying, hey, we have an ordinance here, you must comply.
Thank you.
Any other comments? So this would be for the first reading, Madam Clerk, Ms. Webb. Okay, Ms. Webb,
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth.
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
No.
Ms. Talley,
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
And 6A3, this is a request, a study session request that I'm requesting from council. This is to discuss the city controlled substance ordinance, and this is for Monday, May 13th, 2019 at 7:00 p.m. And that date and time is available. And this should be kind of after the budget part.
So move for a AM study session on Monday, May the 13th at 7 p.m. to discuss the controlled substance ordinance.
Support.
A motion by Mr. Wadsworth, support by Ms. Webb, for study session request from Clerk Ellen Braggs on Monday, May the 13th, 2019, at 7 p.m. to discuss the city controlled substance ordinance. Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Talley?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you, council. Before I close out my report, I would like to ask if you would adopt a resolution. And the Romulus Chamber of Commerce will honor Robert McCrate as the 34th Romulus Chamber of Commerce Person of the Year. Mr. McCrate has been actively involved in the community for many years in many different capacities, and therefore the Chamber of Commerce is asking if City Council will adopt a resolution to honor Mr. McCrate for this occasion, and they would also like to invite you all to the banquet, which will be held on Friday, May 3rd at May 3rd, 2019. This will be held at the Sheraton Detroit Metro Airport here in Romulus. The cost is $35. And this is for Mr. Robert McCrate as the recipient of the 34th Romulus Chamber of Commerce Person of the Year.
So move.
Support.
Been motioned by Mr. Wadsworth, supported by Ms. Roscoe, for resolution for the Person of the Year, Mr. Robert McCray. Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Talley?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Webb?
No. Oh, I meant yes.
All right. Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Congratulations, Mr. McCrate.
Under the bus.
Also, It was announced, it was announced by Jasmine with regards to the community choir concert this Saturday. And really it's gonna be a busy day. We have the prayer breakfast, I believe we have the Easter egg hunt. It's gonna be a long day, but if you find the time in your busy day, we'd like everyone to come out to the community choir concert. And this is led by Pastor Bob Harper, and this is going to be held at the high school, Romulus High School Auditorium at 6:00 p.m. So, and this is a great occasion. You know, this is the first time we've had this community choir concert, but it is to honor our first responders, our men and women in blue, our police and fire, and that we honor them. And truly, they provide a great service for our community. And so that's, you know, this was on Pastor Bob Harper's heart to do that. And I don't think we can we can honor them enough. I don't think we can, you know, with regards to our first responders, just overdo it. So I think it's well deserved. So again, if you find a little bit of time, we'd love to see you on Saturday night. Also, I provided in your packet some communication from the Wayne County, it's a Wayne County Development Summit, and this is coming from our Wayne County Executive, Warren Evans, and he will be the featured guest, and he'll be discussing the community property showcase and development briefing. This is going to be held on Tuesday, May 7th, beginning at 8:30 a.m. to 12:00 p.m. This information, we're going to pass this on to our cable department, so we'll have this posted, so if anyone would like to attend. And with that, that concludes the clerk's report.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
6B is the treasurer's report.
Good evening, everyone. I do not have anything, no items under my report tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 7 is public comment, and this is a portion of the agenda for those of you that are in the audience. And if you would like to address City Council, we ask that you please raise your hand, and after being acknowledged by the chairperson, approach the podium and state your name. Please note that you have 3 minutes to speak, and any additional time would be upon consent of the chairperson. Mr. Chair, we do have one written request.
Okay.
This is from Mr. Jim Henderson.
Is he here?
He left.
He left?
Okay. Oh, well, that's it. That's all the written requests.
Comments from the audience, Mr. Miller?
Thank you, sir. Charles Miller. Just point of information, local businessman Jeff Strait has passed away. He owned the Expert Auto on Cogswell, and he did a lot of work for the city and police cars, and he's at the David C. Brown Funeral Home in Belleville, and I didn't bring my phone, so I don't know the dates, but you can access it on the Brown website. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Any other comments from the audience? Ms. Lemon?
First of all, it's cold in here. Summer has started. Give me some heat.
It's cold in here.
Before I get started, Mrs. Williams, will you please tell Mary Charles she has my deepest sympathy?
Yes, I will.
She's a dear friend of mine, and I have sat at many public outings with her. I love her dearly. Okay, I'm not here today to offend anyone. Many of the city workers are my friends. I believe in freedom of speech. But today, this is sickening. I've lived here when the mayor's doors was pushed down, when they thought the deep well was no worse than a gas station. I've seen it all, but this is the worst. It is appalling that the paper would print such a article. There's a gentleman in here quoting how we stole and how money's missing. He's an 11-year employee of our city in the court system. It's wrong. When I support a person for public office, it is my hope they will work with the administration to do what is best for all the residents of the city, not for any one thing that would help their own agenda, whatever it may be. How can any elected official humiliate our city, put us up for ridicule, because you just don't like the decisions that are being made? Several years ago, when the surrounding communities made their changes with their insurance coverage for their communities, Romulus had the opportunity. They could have changed it 8 years ago. Do not blame Mayor Oakley, or excuse me, Mayor Lambert, because he chose not to. So then that gave them the time he was here, their insurance benefits. Now we're blaming Mayor Burcroft, and for 8 years, Mayor Burcroft has continued to give them a free perk. He continued to help these employees so they would be covered with insurance. All that is being asked of these employees is for them to help pay some of the cost. The administration here and all of you sitting there have to make some tough and hard decisions. Those decisions being made is a stronger and a better leader for all of our residents in this city, not just a few in a few departments. Well, now times have changed. The city can no longer afford to pay all these premiums. Now, what is going to happen? Will the residents be burdened with legal fees? Are they going to be happy that it's over? I had no choice in January when the U.S. government told me, we're taking money from your pension, Mrs. Lemon, because your insurance premiums are going to go up, your Medicare. I live with under $16,000 a year. $2,460 of that pays Blue Cross. I don't make half the money all these people that are whining over having to pay some of their policy. I have to pay my own. And there are hundreds of women out here just like me who do not have a mate that has insurance for them, and we are doing just fine. I do not believe any money was stolen from the court, and I believe it's paying its own way. But let's get this worked out privately instead of letting a newspaper make us look stupid. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the audience? No more comments from the audience. Madam Clerk, we'll close that part out.
Number 8 is unfinished business. Number 9 is new business. Oh, continue on, I'm sorry.
No new business.
Okay, number 10 is communication.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Ms. Talley.
I would like to make a resolution to recognize Joan and Larry Carlton Sr. Celebrating 50 years of marriage on April 12, 2019. Joan and Larry Carlton have enjoyed being residents of the city of Romulus for the past 13 years, and Joan is currently employed at the Romulus Public Library.
Support.
It's been motioned by Ms. Talley, supported by Ms. Webb. for a 50-year marriage. Ms. Talley?
Yes.
Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, and motion is approved.
Mr. Chairman? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yes, who was, go ahead, Ms. Wood.
Oh, through the chair, if I may. First Baptist Church at 11412 Delano Street in Romulus will be celebrating their 92nd anniversary. And they are asking for advertisement in their church bulletin. And if you want to donate, then the information is here. I did give the information to my colleagues in the mayor's office. But I would like to make a motion that we send them a resolution congratulating them on their 92nd anniversary, church anniversary. Thank you.
Been motion by Ms. Webb, supported by Mr. Wadsworth for resolution for the 92nd anniversary. Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Talley?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I was just gonna suggest, maybe I have none of the information, that maybe council consider a memorial resolution for the family of Jeff Straight from Expert Auto, and we can try to get that information to the clerk. He
So
did
moved,
do
Mr.
work for
Chairman.
the city.
Motion by Mr. Wadsworth,
Support.
supported by Ms. Roscoe for memorial resolution. Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Talley?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Is there any more communication from council? If not, number 11 for approval is warrant 19-07.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
I'd like to make a motion for warrant 19-07 in the following amount. General fund, $84,298.68. Major street fund, $33,742.91. Local street funds, $22,224.56. Cable TV, $91.40. Merriman Road assessment, special assessment, $1,840. Oakwood SAD, $138.72. Garbage and rubbish collection fund, $195. CDBG for $1.25. 911 service fund, $8,578.23. Narcotics forfeiture state fund, $7,869.53. Library fund, $6,315.37. DDA for $2,373.83. Tifa District Number 2, $214,938.02. CIP Bonds Court Building, $353,337.50. E-Course and Vining Road Capital Improvement Bonds, $222,102.50. Vining Road Extension E-Course Construction, $7,408.50. Water and Sewer Fund, $411,101.57. Motor Vehicle Fund, $19,968.80. Technical Services, $20,615.88. Retirees Insurance Benefits, $7,453.44. Revolving Fund, $6,909.50. Payroll Fund, $108,814.28, for a total of $1,540,329.47.
Support.
It's been motioned by Ms. Roscoe, supported by Ms. Talley, to pay warrant number 19-07 for $1,540,000, 329.47 cents. Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Talley?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth? Ms. Williams? Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, warrant number 19-07 will be paid.
And number 12 is adjourned.
So moved.
Support.
It's been motioned by Mr. Wadsworth, supported by Ms. Roscoe for adjournment. Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Williams? Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Ms. Talley?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, we are adjourned. Thank you.